US President Donald Trump stated that the United States was planning to hold talks with Iran the following week, adding that a possible agreement regarding Tehran's nuclear program might be on the table. He mentioned uncertainty about the outcome but noted the potential for a deal.
We're going to talk to them next week with Iran. We may sign an agreement. I don't know. To me, I don't think it's that necessary. I mean, they had a war, they fought, now they're going back to their world. I don't care if I have an agreement or not.
Trump also said he believed the war between Iran and Israel was over, explaining that both sides appeared tired and eager to end the conflict. According to him, after intense and violent fighting, both nations seemed satisfied with stepping back and returning to a state of calm.
Because I dealt with both, and they're both tired, exhausted. They fought very, very hard and very viciously, very violently. And they were both satisfied to go home and get out. And can it start again? I guess someday it can. It could maybe start soon.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, cautioned that Iran's possible withdrawal from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty would be a very regrettable development. Speaking during a joint news briefing in Austria, he said that such a move would not benefit anyone and warned it could lead to Iran's isolation and significantly erode the structure of the NPT.
I don't think this would help anybody, starting with Iran. This would lead to isolation, all sorts of problems, and why not? Perhaps, if not the unraveling, a very, very, very serious erosion in the NPT structure. Warps and all, as they say in English, the NPT has served us well. We do not have 40 countries with nuclear weapons, which could perfectly be the case had we not had this treaty. So I think, of course, hard words and emotions are, of course, perhaps normal, or if not normal, inevitable at times of war. But we are working for diplomacy.
Grossi also addressed concerns over Iran's highly enriched uranium stockpiles following its recent conflict with Israel. He identified the return of inspectors to Iranian nuclear sites as the IAEA's top priority, although he acknowledged that doing so would not be easy. He emphasized the need for prompt engagement with Iranian authorities. Responding to the US president's remark, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baqai told Al Jazeera that Tehran had no trust in the United States, accusing Washington of undermining diplomacy. He referred to what he described as a month of contradictory messages from US officials who, on one hand, spoke of diplomacy while on the other approved Israeli attacks on Iran. He questioned how trust could survive under such conditions and accused the United States of deliberately sabotaging diplomatic efforts. However, Baqai reiterated that Iran remained committed to diplomacy, stating that engagement with various actors had continued even during the conflict with Israel. Nonetheless, he stressed that Iran's foremost concern was national security, and it would need to undermine whether the United States was genuinely serious before re-engaging diplomatically. On the issue of Iran's cooperation with the IAEA, Baqai confirmed that Iran's parliament had passed the legislation to suspend but not end its collaboration with the UN nuclear watchdog. He said this move should be seen as a natural reaction by a country that had experienced a severe act of aggression. According to him, the new legislation set terms for the future cooperation, such as ensuring the safety of Iranian scientists and nuclear facilities and recognizing Iran's rights under the NPT. He argued that if Iran were to remain a responsible member of the treaty, it must also be allowed to exercise the rights granted to all signatories. When asked about the state of Iran's nuclear installations following US and Israeli attacks, Baqai confirmed they had suffered a significant damage. He said the issue was being addressed by Iran's Atomic Energy Organization and related agencies. In a separate development, Hezbollah congratulated Iran on what it described as a divine victory over Israel. It credited precise strikes against Israel and swift retaliation to US attacks on Iranian nuclear sites as marking a new phase in the resistance against American and Israeli influence in the region.